Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, depending on where you are. I am Alba, the Portfolio Manager for Risk and Management at PECB. I'm delighted to welcome you all in the very popular topic on using ISO 31000 as a strategic tool for national planning and governance. This webinar is poised to assist in drafting a sustainable national risk framework to guide and aid in decision-making for governance and management practices. You will have the opportunity to ask your questions at any time during the presentation, and in the end, during the question and answer session, we will address them to our presenter. Now, I would like to introduce you today's speaker, Mr. Oluwagbenga Bamgbose, Certified Lead Project Manager and Certified PCB Trainer. He is certified in various fields, including ISO 27001, ISO 31000 Risk Manager, ISO 20000, ISO 22301, and ISO 21500. I will now turn the time to Mr. Bamgbose. Thank you very much for your attention and enjoy the session. Mr. Bamgbose, you may continue with the presentation.
Is actually going to be looking at the strategic tool for decision making when it comes to us having national planning and governance. Like she rightly introduced, I'm Bamgbose Oluwagbenga. Just a brief about myself, and as you can see on the screen, I've been opportune to be grounded in several fields of science, ranging from metrology to IT audit, information audit, systems audit, and the information security management system. Presently, I'm the CEO and CTO of Goods Technologies Limited. Just a brief about myself, my contacts, and my link links. Just a brief, like I said, about myself. I've done a couple of implementation on ISO 27001, 20000, likewise the 31000 that we are about to listen to here right now. Just a brief. I'll share this slide with us much more later. Presently, I am a student at Nigerian Turkish University, engaging in the course in Masters in Business Administration. Yes, introduction. Introduction. What we are trying to look at with the standard is actually how we can look at risk as an opportunity, and also how we can look at risk as an uncertainty. Of course, we all know what is going on right now globally. We have concerns around a lot of economies knowing what to do, but they're also having certain challenges. Been not enough for us to do what we need to do. We have a lot of youth unrest, disasters here and there. These are uncertain events, which of course we can like to risk issues. And of course, we also have greater wealth of opportunities that all these economies that we are trying to look at also has in place for us. So, looking at all these concerns, we are not saying that we could actually look for a way where we can have national policy documentation, where we can now sit down and look at those concerns, those opportunities, and see how we can take a thorough look using the ISO 31000 as a guide to assist us in formulating policies, formulating guidelines, formulating procedures, and possibly a risk management framework that these economies in different places, either at the federal level, the state level, or the local government level, or even in the private sector level, which are all we all believe and we know a lot of risk management practices have actually been enshrined. So those are the things we are trying to look at for using ISO 31000. Okay, what are the great concerns? The great concerns that we basically have as a country and for most developing economies, if I have to skew that way, is actually the issue of awareness and that of culture. You know, we don't look at risk as something we should take seriously. We don't also look at it as a culture, because what you have culture about, most definitely you want to do it more often. And even for places where they have this risk as a culture, you also don't have a means of identifying this risk or these opportunities, as the case may be. Likewise, we also don't have the requisite expertise to also look at how, even when we can identify, to what kind of needed programs do we have to carry out the analysis, and also looking at trying to assess the areas that we need to bring out this opportunity. So this paper is how we have in ISO 31000 as a strategic tool for us to have what we call a sustainable national risk framework through, of course, people like mine that can look at just its various sectors and start looking at the wealth of opportunities that are inherent, and also the concerns of uncertainty events, so that people formulating, people like governance level and management practices could actually use whatever comes out of those a group or an institution, as the case may be, whatever comes out for them as a decision-making tool. So that's the we are looking at. So the next slide takes us to risk awareness itself, and of course the culture. In our normal daily routine programs that we have, either as a public institution, as a private institutions, we find out that we do a lot of daily operational, but most of these things are inherent within them. Each of these processes has its own, and with how we can, because like I said, when you are aware of all the practices, then we have a very good long way to go in turning some of these our uncertainty events, like I mentioned earlier, and the opportunity to sustainable productive activities for us. Okay, the next slide takes us to modern operational practices and risk. This actually involves the underlying processes, like I also mentioned, which actually dictates our daily operational lives. Okay, daily operational lives in different fields that you want to talk about. And the second point there is actually looking at what we really need to do, the practice we need to put in place. We need to put the cultural practice of being able to identify, as proclaimed by the standard itself, how to organize these uncertainty events or opportunities, how to design a lot of concerns around them, how we are going to get them analyzed, of course, how we are going to assess them. These are some of the things that the 31000 risk standard will guide and show us, how we can evaluate them and how to do it according to international best practice, so that we don't ask the question, if we have the culture, how do we go ahead, for instance, to assess this risk? And how do we report it? How do we communicate? And of course, I had to add, how do you treat if it's an uncertainty event? How do you mitigate if it's an uncertainty event? And of course, how do you exploit if it is an opportunity? and how do you consult to the people that actually need it for decision making, or the people that are actually being affected by either the uncertainty event or the risk concern for governance and decision making practices. So these are the things we really need to look at. Then the next slide takes us to the trend. Of course, we all know in the corporate world that we have good things. I'm also a business school student right now, where we are looking at the big corporate business world. What I've noticed is that they use it more in the corporate world. And in some economies like ours in this part of the world, where the public sector actually drives most of the part of the larger chunk of the economy, we have risk being used more in the private sector. And in some of the private sectors that they even use it, they really don't do it the way it's meant to be done. The concern for some is that yes, they have risk department, they have enterprise risk department, but what framework is guiding their operations? What framework is driving whatever daily process they do? Are they identifying what needs to be identified? Are they doing what they are supposed to do? According to which framework, according to which guidelines are they doing this? For example, we all know in the private sectors, for the ones that are doing it right, a lot of advances, a lot of good things have actually been done around information security governance when it comes to risk management. The same thing has been done very beautifully with Basel II, financial management, and governance, and around traffic management system. A couple of times I've taken a turn to look at the operations they do in our road safety for traffic management. And I found that risk is actually one of the things they look at for first in formulating some of their procedures for their management. Okay, now the next slide takes us to the risk practices in strategy planning and management. This is another major concern that actually is skewing us into where we are going. Most organizations, you find out, they have boldly written vision statement, mission statement, goals they want to achieve. You find out that those things become static. Static in the sense that environment changes, people changes, economic, like what we're experiencing presently in Nigeria, changes, but the vision doesn't change. If the vision doesn't change, that means it's static. Are we measuring what needs to be measured to find out if we're actually getting to those places? These are concerns in itself. And in the words I put, we say we don't get to change over time. Yes, why? Because a lot of concerns, which I'm also going to discuss, are there. However, if you ask some of these institutions, either private or public sector, they will tell you they have scarce resources and they still expend them. For what purpose? Who is measuring what? Is it actually giving us the requisite or the possible impact that we're expected? These are some of the things that will form questions for us to now bring in, okay, what is actually causing the reason why we are not achieving this vision, why we are not achieving these goals? So we need to now bring in the risk into our strategy planning and management. Failures of this that I mentioned earlier, we have failures of strategies with what? Risk in focus. Like I said earlier, it's applicable to both private and public sector institutions. I said it earlier that it's as a result of what? The vision being static and the mission statement. And secondly, we have the concerns around measurable indices to actually help us determine if we are doing what we said we are going to do. And why are we not doing it? Okay, what are the things or factors that is not making us achieve? And if you look at the third on the screen, you find out that the absence of reviewing these 1 and 2 is actually what is making us get to where we are supposed to get to. And of course, coupled with the operating environment of the enterprise. Like we have some manufacturing sectors in our economy presently falling down because of the concern of the recession. Now, if we've had a country that has a vision like ours and say, okay, this is where we want to be in 2020, if this happens with our crude oil resources, this is what we need to do. It's a factor of risk. Okay, these are the opportunities we have in agriculture. This is what we want to do with agriculture in the next 20 years. It's a vision. Now, what will make us not get there? One, of course, we know we have concerns about the income the country is earning. So for us to be able to sit down and look at those concerns, applying the risk management practices, it will help us guide us to, one, having a strategic plans with what executable actions that will help us drive facts and figures through the entire risk management process. So these are some of the failures of strategies. Either you want to look at it from the larger public sector institutions, or you want to look at it from even the granular local government public institutions for us to know exactly what has gone wrong, why are we not getting to where we are supposed to get to, what are the things we need to do, what are the opportunities that can take us to achieve those visions and missions, and in what kind of environment do you think we'll be able to strive better. Now, this next screen actually takes us to where we are going, and that is having what I call a national risk management framework working group. As you can see on the screen, we have a national, I'm pointing my mouse there for us to see because this is the larger chunk of the explanation we want to make. We have a national risk management office where this particular 31,000 will be used as a strategic tool in addressing concerns around different sectors of our economy. Either you want to look at it from marine, you want to look at it from aviation, you want to look at it from finance, you want to look at it from agriculture, you want to look at it from security challenges, security in terms of information security, physical security, you want to look at it from defense perspective. So they will look at it at this point, and they will also bring into perspective the global concern. They will also be having a lot of leverage and the alignment with the data coming in from Office of Statistics to carry out their assignment, and of course from National Archives. For instance, talking to the National Identity Management Commission back home in Nigeria, talking to police, talking to agriculture, talking to the Central Bank of Nigeria, talking to Office of Statistics, talking to NNPC, Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. You bring everything into bear, and you can come up with policies, you come up with guidelines, you come up with procedures. And if you see the people we have here that have the microscope and the icon of the microscope and PCs in front of them, these are the people that will actually be working within this particular office, that will be using the 31,000 as a guide, to analyze as risk experts and risk analysts, okay, to actually look at those concerns in varying sectors of our economy. Another set of people within the same establishment proposed, we actually be looking at the control, the monitoring and review process. For instance, an agency of government says the ICT sector to certain developmental phase within the next 10 years. Okay, what are the plans they have? What are the things that they are doing presently over the years? What are the concerns that they have around the fact that they couldn't make up to achieve those goals? So those people will look at the monitoring side, and by the time they are done, the documents that will come out here will now come to these down people at different levels to take what we call a risk-aware decision. I want to give a very empirical example. By its grace, I'm presently working on a enterprise risk management project for a regulatory organization here, an institution of government here in Nigeria. And we actually started with this model with them. And they were really surprised that even when we actually went to one institution of government, they actually said they have nothing of such in place to actually check some of these things. So even if when an agency of government decides they want a policy to come out, we found out that there were so many reasons why those policies or those visions cannot be met. And no single human being or unit of the organization is looking at that particular concern. So this is the reason why I have come up with this to share with everyone so that we can take a look at what we can do as seasoned professionals to assist in using ISO 31000 as a strategy tool for national planning. These are the benefits, because you asked me what are the benefits of what you intend to do. The previous slide is actually the dream and the proposition that we're having, and we have a lot of work done presently on it. Now we have the benefits. Of course, there will be a national risk awareness and culture. So even in homes, at times we do some of these things, but we don't know we are actually carrying out what we call the risk culture like this. And of course, the concern we have around the downturn in economies, of course, we automatically have what we call a mitigation strategy. Like if we had known when crude oil was selling for $130 per barrel, we know that crude oil could actually come down to $30 per barrel, and it's going to have a short change in our income as a country. We would have made a plan forward. We had a similar thing like the Sovereign Wealth Fund, but we would have had not only at that alone that will affect every other sectors of the Nigerian economy. Okay, that's on the economic side. We would have known that, okay, if we keep importing rice from Asia, for instance, we would have had a plan and tell ourselves that we can actually stop production, importation of this in this time. So what are the opportunities inherent and what are the risks? So the mitigation strategy would have been formulated as a policy document so that any government coming in, irrespective of your party, your age, your practice, it will now become a de facto institution for everybody to follow. So when you come in, that is what you will have to probably pursue, because you pursue and you will also be able to use it as a decision-making tool. And of course, it's not only skewed to public sector, of course to private sector, like I've written there, to reach all organs of government to use it, of course to be saddled with the responsibility of identification of risk at the minimum. At least every human being could identify some form of risk or the other. So once it becomes an awareness, a culture, we cannot bring it up and we cannot collect, because the inability to identify is also a very big bane on the practice of risk management. So for us to make it a general thing on all organs of government, we help the proposed working group to be able to work. And of course, public institutions can actually achieve, like I said, the project is ongoing that me and my team, we are working on presently, and we've seen some of the goals we can achieve with what we are doing, because we've seen a lot of concerns around that. And of course, taking decisions at every levels concerning uncertainty would now be much more assertive. So the people taking decision will be taking decision based on informed perspective, not on speculations. So we can begin to even listen to our politicians more. We can listen to people driving the economy more, because we know that they'll probably be speaking with facts and figures. And of course, in our budgeting practice and the planning, of course, it will be based on real-time or circumstances. That is why they are actually doing the planning and budgeting exercise. It won't be based on, oh, it's something they've done before. No, it is based on what is presently going on, like what most economies are going through in sub-Saharan Africa and even some parts of Southern America, where they probably have crude oil in abundance and the prices are going down. So the perceived economic challenges, of course, we brought to bear. So we would have anticipated that, look, these are the things we need to do. You don't need to spend so much when you make so much money. And most importantly, we will also be able to make good use of our resources from creditors. Like we're collecting funds from maybe World Bank, for instance. You are collecting money to fund projects. You probably know that, okay, you want to use this project for infrastructure development. Yes, you want to collect this money. What are the things that will make, when the money is given, that will make it to be a concern that you won't be able to have the necessary impact to the people? You know, so you would have anticipated what could go wrong, and strategies would have come in. By the time your creditor sees that you've done a thorough work using a very laudable standard like ISO 31000, then they know you've done a very thorough job. And most importantly, again, in managing all the projects, there has to be some form of risk component across every sectors of the economy. Another one I want to mention is that of our field of IT, where you have the risk we are having now is that we're having a lot of IT applications, apps coming into the economy. We're not looking at the data being driven. We're not looking at the concerns about cyber threat, but we're bringing them in. And another concern is also the skill, which we are not having in some Asian countries, which have opportunity to be. They have structure of building educational institutions that can actually drive these fields of ICT, which we are only relying on. By the time we look at what are the risks around importing technology into the economy, what can we do to actually maximize the wealth of knowledge we have in this model assist? So a lot of research concerning this is actually going on. So thank you so much. At this time, I want to also bring forward that we have ISO 31000 training courses. We have a day for introduction of risk for ISO 31000. We have foundation 2 days. And we have the 3 days course program, which of course our company is also having one this month back in Abuja, Nigeria. So you can join us. And of course we have ISO 31000 lead risk manager. For that one is for 5 days. You can log on to pecb.com and see the trainings and events that are coming around risk. Thank you very much. So if you have any questions.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for an informative webinar. Initially, I would like to apologize for any technical problems occurred during the webinar and to thank you for your understanding. As you mentioned, I want to inform that all the attendees that PECB provides training and certification services for ISO 31000 Introduction, Foundation, Lead Implementer, and Lead Auditor. A PECB certificate will demonstrate your dedication in implementing and managing risk management processes and frameworks, and most importantly, you will be recognized worldwide. If you are interested in more details or in scheduling any of these trainings, you can find the link I have just sent you in the chat box. However, if you have any questions or you need any further assistance, please feel free to contact customer@pecb.com. We're now going to begin answering some of the questions submitted during today's presentation. The first question is, can we integrate quality management and risk management?
Yes, we can. We can actually integrate part of the vision of an enterprise, for example, is actually to have quality to outshine their competitors. So you can actually bring in both the quality standard and the risk. I will even advise you bring in risk so that you'll be able to articulate what could make you not attain the quality you want to attain, and what are the inherent opportunities you have as a brand that you can use to actually attain the quality. So bringing in ISO 31000 will also help you to harness those potentials that you help you to get to the quality management standard you want. Perfectly, that can be done, and it's advised that you bring both together.
Thank you very much for your answer. The second question is, what are the success factors for achieving most of the stated goals?
Yeah, the success factors are based on performance. When you have a vision and you have a mission, what are the factors that will assist you in getting to it? You can measure them by actually having another process within your risk that you are going to outline what will take you down, or you use another performance management indices. So when you look at that performance measurement indices, now you look at what are the issues that will make you not achieve this process, for instance. You outline them. What are the issues that will make you attain it? You put them down. What are the mitigation strategies that will befall you that you won't be able to achieve it? You put the mitigation plan in terms of time, in terms of resources, and in terms of quality you want to attain.
Thank you very much, sir. We have many other questions here. We'll just answer just a few more. The next question is, risk management has a great challenge. That's risk culture. How is the best way to start this process with people?
Yes. What I've noticed is that if you look at, I'm a very, like I put, awareness and culture is actually the bane of risk management. A lot of people do risk in their daily lives, culture-wise. Like for instance, in my place, they will tell you like a small proverb and say, if small youths or small kids are cutting tree, it's an elderly person that knows where it's going to fall. Now, the child that is cutting a tree, for instance, doesn't know because he's not experienced. But the elderly person that is cutting is experienced because he's risk cultured, because he knows that this is what could befall the falling of a tree. So what we need to do is not just to leave it at that, but we bring it up as a subject matter that we now have to start what? Bringing up mining data from it and making it to be like a practice, a daily thing, and not just making it a daily thing only. We enshrined it into things we do on a routine basis. Like we could make it like a procedure for operations. If you are doing this, look at the things why it could not fail, look at the things why it could not fail. If you want to carry the particular tax, enshrine into it. You want to do a project, bring the risk into it. You want to go to the market, you want to go to buy to do a project design. What are the risks that could make that plan not to work? We have to build it in almost everything we do as human beings. So those are the areas we can use, and we can do a lot of widespread awareness. Widespread awareness is very important, just the way we do when we are doing implementation of ISMS. We need to start building that culture. We need to start building that awareness more so that the culture can come in. So that's what we need to do.
Thank you, sir. And now, because of the time limitations, we will just answer to the final question, which is, what is the best way to define risk appetite?
Risk appetite is actually the risk that you know you can accommodate. I want to put it in a layman so that the people listening will understand. Is actually the risk you know you can accommodate. The uncertainty events you know you can accommodate that will not harm or have an impact on your brand. Okay, for instance, you want to have a project you are working on, and they told you that this project is going to cost you this much. And if you have to expand the project, it's going to cost you this much. That's the risk. Now, you want to expand, but you don't want to spend. So your appetite is that if you have the money to accommodate the risk that has been perceived, it's going to cost you more resources, but the impact is that you expand the job, which is good. So you have to look at the resources with you. So the resources with you, you could liken it to be your risk appetite element that will make you to take that risk. I say, okay, don't worry, I got a risk appetite to accommodate that, bring it in, then it goes. So I would want to liken risk appetite to be so something that you know you can accommodate that will not have a negative impact on your brand.
Thank you, sir, very much for all your answers. We had many questions.
Hello?
Hello, sir. Can you hear me now?
Hello?
Yeah, thank you, sir, for all your answers. We have many questions, but because of the time limitations, we will answer to the rest of the questions by email. Thank you again, and thanks to everyone who attended this webinar. We appreciate you being here. I want to inform you that this webinar is also recorded and can be found in our website and YouTube channel. We will also send you the link of the webinar in your email in the upcoming days. Don't forget to check back on our upcoming webinars and topics of your interest by visiting our website or social media pages, PECB.com. Thanks again for joining us today, and we will see you next time at the same day, same time. Wish you all the great day ahead. Thank you, sir, again for your presentation.